Hello. Welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime. And I am your host as always, Professor Prime. And welcome to my video on life, death, and the universe. So I'll be talking about my different views on those things currently. And I'd like to start by saying I have decent lighting in this video, and that's despite the fact that it's pretty cloudy outside. And that cloudiness, that kind of brings me into a point that I want to make, and then we can kind of go from there. So, whether it's a cloudy day like today, or whether it's really dark out, I'm comforted by a thought that I've been having these last few weeks. So, let's get into that. For me personally, I do deal with depression, and I deal with that all throughout the year for various reasons. And it's definitely worse during winter. It's definitely worse during rainy or cloudy days. It's worse when we have less light to deal with. And so, even though I feel much better usually on days where the sun is out and shining, I'm comforted by the following thought. So, even though I need that sunlight some days, here's something to think about. Even if we don't see the sun shining, even when it's cloudy, even when it's dark, the fact remains that the sun is out there in the universe, still shining, still doing its thing. And nothing that's happening on this planet is going to change that. And I think that's interesting to think about. So even though I want that sunlight, even though I need that sunlight out there, I can at least take some comfort in knowing that it's out there regardless of me seeing it or not. And as I go on in life, I just I'm forced to think about a lot of different things because life can be pretty heavy sometimes. That much is true. And I know one of the things that I struggled with growing up was dealing with nihilism. But as I've gotten older, it's yeah, I still struggle with that, but I try to put an existentialism twist on it, where it's okay, I feel like sometimes things don't matter, and that it's inherently that way. But even though that could be horrifying if you're thinking of that, I think it actually gives us some freedom if we think that, because then it's even if we're not given a purpose, even if we don't know what we want to do, we can figure that out. We can create our own purpose. And that's interesting. And one of the sources of said nihilism is the fact that we all die. And that is an incredibly depressing thought, because for me, it's I'll lose what I am, I'll lose what I've done, and I'll lose the people that are important to me. And that bums me out. That bums me out a lot. And I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't still think about that stuff, because it's I think about it more than people would think. And one of the things though that I've been comforted by in this last year is the fact that so even though I'll be gone, even though you'll be gone, even though everyone will be gone at some point, and even if the memory of us fades over time, the fact that we existed can't be changed. The fact that we were part of this universe and we mattered won't change, because we don't always see it, but we matter. We're all part of this universe. Everything connects. And so even if it won't be in the form we're accustomed to, we'll still be part of that universe even after we're gone. And the impact that we made echoes throughout time. Even if we never get to see that, even if it's not clear that it came from us. So that's my big thing, that even if we die, we existed. And we go on in some form or another, still being part of the universe. And that's something that I feel has comforted me this year. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot. Weirdly enough, because of time travel stories, Because when like there's different theories for time travel, and in some it's like you know time can change if you go back in the past. And so like pretty much a universe gets overridden. But the thing is like yeah, that one universe ends, but like it still existed at some point. Those people still mattered, even if things changed. So as weird as that sounds, I came to this through time travel stories. So, but that being said, life is an interesting thing, and I think for me personally, um, yeah, it can be grim sometimes, but for me, my optimism helps with that. But if I let it, it's enhanced by that. Because it's like, I feel like it comes down to I'm naturally optimistic, naturally positive, but also kind of raised to be that way too. So there's a nature and nurture thing, and like I've chosen to embrace those both. And there's a certain necessity to I feel being optimistic, to being positive, and I gotta do what I gotta do. And ultimately, like I was saying, like I choose to embrace those other things. Um, it comes down to agency at the end of the day. So for my attitude towards life, it's like some of it's nature, some of it's nurture, some of it's necessity, but ultimately choice. And I feel like there's something to be said about that. We can all make choices. It's not always easy. It's hard to maintain. And like I said, like I mean, I still have pretty grim thoughts sometimes, but I feel like that pushes me harder when I can like start thinking about it and saying like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to give in, or do I want to go forward? And for the record, if you do give in here and there, like I get that we're human. So I just try my best to keep on fighting though. And so I don't know. Life is interesting, and one of the other big things like that I've just thought about because like I never stop thinking. But one of the things that I've been thinking about over the years, and believe it or not, some of this comes out of math, is that like I think of everything is connected. Is everything part of like a larger system, even if we don't see it? And one of my big things is I talk about it in some of my videos, but I'm a big fan of dynamical systems. I think they're pretty cool. And there's a particular type which is like chaotic systems, and I like that idea because that shows up in nature a lot. And I think like of a bigger picture when I think of that because it's like everything is connected, and we can kind of know how it might act in like a certain way, but it's subject to small changes. So it's like the butterfly effect. That's another way to talk about that. But I just like that idea because it just makes me think, because I feel like we all impact the universe one way or another. And I would say that sometimes, yeah, we can predict how this might happen or that might happen, and that small changes might change drastically, but then we can still figure out the behavior sometimes. Sometimes we really don't know. So, not a perfect analogy, but it makes me think. And at the end of the day, I do feel like everyone's connected. I feel like everything is connected, and we don't always see our impact, and we don't know what it leads to, but it's there. And so, with me, one of the interesting parts about math is I think like I end up being very good at it because I see what it really is, and I see that it's ultimately about connection. So for me, like math is kind of like it's the connector itself, but it's also a product of connections, and I think that's interesting to me. I don't want this to become super long, but where I'm at right now is I do think about life and I think about death a lot. And I think, while I'm here, just trying to make my best of it and trying to make a positive impact on the world, even if I don't necessarily see the end results. And no matter what happens to me, I exist right now, and one day I might pass, but it won't change the fact that I existed. It won't change the fact that I impacted the world and the universe, even if I don't see that. And for you, it won't change those things about you. You matter. You have impact. You are connected to everyone and everything, even if you don't realize it. You exist now. And when you don't anymore, you will have still made an impact. And you'll still be the part of the universe in some way, shape, or form. And nothing can change that. So that being said, I hope this video was, if nothing else, interesting. But I really hope it was helpful to someone. I hope that someone got something out of it. Hope that someone was comforted about it or walked away with a different perspective. And I hope that you're well out there. You know, I hope that you're well. So I'll see you in the next video. Professor Prime out.